Sean Sheeter is a cosmologist and physician from San Diego who's working with the company Brand Brain Media to produce a documentary called The Definition of God that will premiere on Amazon Prime in mid-2022. So, hello, how are you?
How are you, sir? What's your name?
It's Toby.
Toby, okay,
Yeah.
Toby. I've got three papers I want to read here. It sort of summarizes everything. Definitely God being the second paper as well. Okay?
Yeah.
This is called 10-11-21. After working with my late partner, A.J. Meyer, for 12 years, in early 2000, at the turn of the 21st century, A.J. told me that he came up with his model of the universe after getting down on his knees and praying for a solution, after which he had a vision that told him the answer would be revealed in Revelation 21. A few months later, David Gross posed his number one question at Spring's 2000 physics conference. Are all the dimensionless parameters that characterize the physical universe calculable in principle, or are they merely determined by historical or quantum mechanical accident and incalculable? Exactly 21 years on this day, the 11th of October, that question was fully answered by the Monolith Number. NU equals to 203 plus 1 over 241. I will now read two one-page papers that will lead up to showing why the monolith number is so special, after which we'll open up discussions for a more lengthy Q&A. The first paper, as well as this documentary, is appropriately titled The Definition of God. It has been the scheme of the Christian church and of all other invented systems of religion to hold man in ignorance of the Creator, as it is of governments to hold man in ignorance of his rights. The systems of one are as false as the other and are calculated for mutual support. Thomas Paine. So let us fulfill Tom Paine's vision by finally defining the Creator. The difference between theoretical speculation and reality is the very definition of God as the non-local totality of an anti-de Sitter space-time whose cycle ends after 88.088 billion light years, thus fulfilling Revelation 21:6. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. The following four summary papers explaining this reality in detail are available on Sean Sheeter's Facebook page. In Towards the Most Memorable Christmas in History, I define God in more detail and explain why the fifth dimension of an ADS cosmology can only be understood via prophecy. After prophesizing myself about Jesus's rebirth on Christmas Day in the year 2100 and coming out on his 22nd birthday as Christ the Messiah, thereby fulfilling the last book of the Bible, Revelation 22. In my Christmas letter to Errol Morris, I tear apart a ludicrous theoretical speculation by Roger Penrose that one can see complete Hawking black hole evaporation from a previous universe in this one, which doesn't happen until the complete ADS cycle ends after 88.088 billion light years. After giving a little personal history about my late partner, A.J. Meyer, and myself, and our respective interactions with the godfather of gravitational wisdom, John Wheeler, I go on to destroy the predominant cosmological idea that the expansion of space itself is accelerating. The complete 3:21:21 definition of God as an anti-de Sitter cosmology demolishes that idea in more detail with regard to the final fact that the Big Bang's white hole ended the inflation era after having truly accelerated to a power of 10 to the 20th order faster than light speed after creation. The final synopsis, cosmologically chronological page time expands on the fact that this white hole's effective Planck scale spatial horizon is presently some 13.77 times 2 billion light years in diameter and is expanding at light speed as carried through the fourth dimension by a primordial gravitational wave whose massless gravitons are quantized at a reciprocal Planck scale. Quantum gravitational solution to complete Hawking black hole evaporation as a complete definition of our anti-de Sitter universe. Stephen Hawking once said, one can't prove that God doesn't exist, but science makes God unnecessary. The laws of physics can explain the universe without the need for a creator. That could very well summarize the beliefs of most physicists, except for the fact that Edward Whitten's number 2 question, posed at Strings 2000, asks how might quantum gravity explain the origin of the universe? Below is a note and attachments I sent to Christopher Langan on 8/11/21 that fills in the gaps in his reasoning concerning what predated time with respect to the origin of quantum gravity. Then reviewing Tim Tull's overview of your cognitive theoretic model of the universe, where he begins by exploring what predated the Big Bang. The first half-page paper, called Alpha to Omega and Back Again, pretty well summarizes that issue, concluding with point being, as the non-local totality of space and time, God is eternal, but time itself takes a breather at the end of the universe, which means that an undefined idea of a quantum foam is replaced by a timeless 5-dimensional Clifford space defined in the paper Initial to Final QG Creation as a Max-Planck primaton, which goes on to take a quantum gravitational leap to a slightly lighter state, initiating time as the 6 dimensions of strings unravel and multiply during the first stage of inflation. But hold on here with respect to the definition of alpha and omega in Revelation 21:6. I am the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. For the Max primaton is both omega as the end of time and alpha as the initial quantum gravitational state that precedes creation and time. Thus, the first equation in initial to final QG creation defines the initial state primaton mass by taking the combined proton and electron mass and multiplying it by 2 to 63.5, which equals 2.1829525 times 10 to the minus 8 kilograms. Likewise, multiplying the P plus E mass by 2 to 63.5 minus 1 over 241 defines the effective Planck mass as 2.176655965 times 10 to the minus 8 kilograms, representing the quantum gravitational jump that initiates time and begins inflation. Subsequently, by duality, the inflation termination radius defines the Big Bang's white hole radius of 7.18 meters. As this white hole's exterior event horizon defines the simultaneous totality of 3-dimensional space, it expands outward as it is carried at light speed through the 4th dimension by a primordial gravitational wave whose gravitons are quantized at the Planck scale. The final equation in initial to final QG creation defines the initial universal mass, the precise universal mass, as mu equals to 2 to the 203 plus 1 over 241, which equals 2.8 basically times 10 to the 53rd kilograms. 10 to the 53rd kilograms. That's calculated in terms of the effective Planck mass times 2 to the monolith number. NU equals 203 plus 1 over 241, where 2 to the monolith number equals 1.289253166998937 times 10 to the 61st order, which in turns can be used to define the interior spatial event horizon of a cosmological black hole having a page time of 44.044 billion light years, whereby it begins collapsing at light speed for another 44.44 billion light years to the omega point of revelation 21.6 at the literal end of time, which means that the complete Hawking evaporation requires God, or the universe would have no creator, which is another way of saying that all black holes have a singular page time of 44.044 billion light years. Now, in the summary essay, The Definition of God, I referred to the Christmas letter to Errol Morris, my Christmas letter, where I had just learned about Roger Penrose's sane hypothesis that one can somehow see actual complete black hole evaporation from a previous universe in this one, which I point out only happens at the end of the ADS's cycle of 88.088 billion light years. In that letter, I go on to note that the greatest compliment my late partner A.J. Meyer received came from John Wheeler, who told him he wishes he had come up with an interior solution to a black hole event horizon, which is then integrated into Don Page's idea in that brief final paper, Cosmological Page Time. For copies of both papers about the cosmology, see Sean Sheeter's Facebook page. To read the paper initial to final QG creation, go to the third summary page at 241mumbers.com, as it follows the introduction, where the monolith number is derived from our prime 241 itself.
Yeah, well, that's quite a lot of information there. So is that all your own research?
No other people, just A.J. Meyer and myself.
So how did you go about finding out all that information then?
Like I said, I was here, I got a book here. The unified model of the universe, and this was written in 1981. And here is the anti-de Sitter model. You start here at the center, and this would be creation. You come out here with time to this circle, representing a three-dimensional space. You're reducing everything, of course, to that. You got the one dimension at a time here, not the 5 dimensions. And the surface of this would be 5-dimensional, though. You see, you're talking about the whole topology from the beginning to the end and back again. You can go either way around this in terms of time symmetry. So this would be comparable to where we're at about 14 billion light years today, and this would be the whole black hole. This would be the interior horizon, the exterior horizon of the white hole coming around this way, and then reaching this level where it starts contracting again, and this would be 88.088 light years in diameter across there. Well, yeah, I don't know if you can see it. I got to get the angle of this, but you get the idea in terms of this. That's my 1981 book.
Yeah.
This is a plain section of 11 dimensions here. where the point on the conic or the intersection of 6 lines at a point in projective geometry on the Pascal conic here.
Yeah.
And so I wrote that in 1988.
So what can we expect from the documentary? What can we learn from it?
Well, you can learn the universe isn't accelerating for one thing. You can learn that the anti-de Sitter model, we live in an anti-de Sitter universe. The predominant model of cosmology is basically false, as Tom Paine says. It's just ossified institutions, and that we can learn about that prophecy does exist, and precognition is you can teach precognition by using roulette.
Yeah.
No bet strategy on roulette. Do a little practice with it, but anybody can see the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, where are we able to find the documentary? I take it it's just on Amazon Prime. Do you know exactly when it will be released yet?
No, probably in a few months.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us here this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.